This is the only match I recorded this morning of the 4 or 5 that I played. After grinding out the LA-7 Bravo, spading that aircraft, I decided I needed to go back to my comfort zone, and I flew out the Corsair, both the 1A USMC, the Dash 4, and no, I think it was just those two. And now I'm in the Mustang, the D-10, which I think I'm going to fly more often, honestly. I just don't have. I recently acquired it, don't have a huge number of matches in it, but it's a great plane. It's a solid plane at 4.3. It does the things that Mustangs are supposed to be good at. It's got enough engine power that you can actually overcome the poor maneuvering energy retention of the Mustang to some extent, so you can mix it up a little bit more. The climb rate's better, the acceleration's a little better. Of course, it's got great inline speed and high-speed handling or elevator authority, with the exception, of course, being the rudder. And you will see the rudder kind of get me a little bit. Ironically, this is also the defensive Britain, although maybe a little bit more on theme to be flying a Mustang than an LA-7, although not by a large margin. I will be a little bit more reserved in my criticism. I actually had the least satisfying match I ever played earlier in the Corsair. I got sent back to the airfield twice to repair. Once because I got set on fire and ran out of fuel, thankfully within gliding distance. And then the second time, after taking off from the airfield, getting jumped by 3 aircraft, oil leak, red engine, again, back to the airfield to repair. I think I finished that match with 1 frag, and it was a win, but it was easily the least satisfying match I've ever played. Some of these smaller maps, particularly with the air spawns that bring people closer together, I think do encourage people heading back to the airfield, and you'll see that here. Although I did have my chance, but I guess I'll start out with what I'm thankful for. They have a DL Mercier, or however you say that didn't climb or that didn't maintain altitude. That plane is really my nemesis. There is, at 4.3 BR, there is no plane I want to see less. There are other very strong planes at 4.3, certainly, and they have niches, I would say. The Pure Mercy is just strong everywhere at every altitude, unless it's dumb enough to turn fight you. It's just not a plane you want to contend with. But that being said, I spent a little bit of time looking for targets early in the match. If you were watching the replay, you undoubtedly saw 2 bandits in a row decided they want to take a full commit head-on with the VB-10C. I admire their bravery, but what is it? That aircraft has like 10 guns on it, like 4 of them are cannons. I mean, it's maybe the most ridiculous armament on a prop plane in this entire game. Why you would take a full commit head-on with that, I don't know. Why you would do it as the second guy after you realized that he knows how to shoot, because he sent your first teammate back to the hangar. Again, I don't know. But this is just that was a really nice burst on that Thunderbolt, actually. Not a particularly hard shot, as he was distracted there. The 335 was a pilot snipe. But again, just really, really solid gameplay. Penalizing people for getting low in front of you. Now, the 335 is not slow, but it does not outmaneuver a Mustang at speed. And while the Mustang doesn't do a great job of holding on to energy necessarily, it will outdog fight the 335 all day. So, that guy went all in on trying to get a couple of my teammates as they went back to our airfield, or were in the vicinity of our airfield. It didn't work out for him. The Spitfire here did get at least a couple, I think. He is damaged, so he at least has an excuse to head back to his airfield. Like I said, I'm going to be a little bit more reserved in my criticism. I've already done, or we've all done that same thing. You're not in peak fighting shape, you're low. Not a fight you want to take. So, no problem with what he's doing here. And like I said, as you can see, I've had my chance. You can see the nose bobble around, just trying to get the plane on. The rudder just does not want to cooperate. So we get some hits. but no dice. And unfortunately, my other teammate is going to full commit to that Spitfire. He's not going to survive his run-in with the airfield AA. And they've got somebody that is taking tickets, so I decide I'm going to fly out towards where I believe that individual is and see if I can't reacquire them. Because after all, I've already got a couple of air-to-air victories, and I've got a good feeling, right? This could be a potentially good match. We've got an opportunity for a little bit of excitement, hopefully a good chance for a win here, just looking at the distribution of the teams. And why not? I enjoy a match where I can make a difference. I think we all do. As tempting as it is to speed the video up, this is more short-form content, right? I think the total run length on this is less than 10 minutes, and I figure you can probably sit through an entire 10-minute video, even in the modern era of short attention spans. I'm just checking for targets there that I can engage with 50 cals, since, especially at this point in the match, even if I ever took bombs on a fighter, I wouldn't still have them on the plane at this point. But thankfully, my search is successful, and we stumble upon one of the Swedish, I think A-21, whatever. Generally regarded as not a very good plane. Have not played it myself, so I cannot say, but I believe that to be true. However, in this circumstance, it almost doesn't matter what you're flying. There are a couple of planes that have massive energy generation, and they are incredibly capable, that maybe could reverse or do something else there, but not really a lot of altitude to trade for speed, didn't really have a lot of speed. And even those planes, in a scenario where they're low and slow, are really going to struggle against this much of a positional advantage. But man, despite the rudder being frustrating, the Mustang is just so nice to fly at speed. It's such a good-looking plane. It's kind of my happy plane. I think objectively, right, the Corsairs are probably the better plane family in War Thunder. But some of the Mustangs, are just so nice to fly, and they certainly have their strengths. What the Mustangs do well, they do really well, which is go fast and maneuver while they're going fast. And if you enjoy kind of that high-speed fighting, particularly if you like to boom and zoom, you really have to fly either the Mustangs or the Thunderbolts for the U.S. line, because they are peerless in that regard. The Lightnings compress pretty significantly, and the Corsairs, while limited by the instructor, because I have to mention it every video, they also do compress, though. The Corsair's peak maneuverability is right around 525 kph. So even though they are a more maneuverable plane on balance, they do suffer a little bit at high speed. The Mustangs just love to go fast. Almost a little disappointed to see this 190 go down in the background. Why he is as low and slow as he is, I'm not entirely sure, because I don't think there are tickets on this side of the map. But as somebody that doesn't spend a lot of time going for tickets, I may just be wrong about that. And of course, the reason I'm sad to see the 190 go is that was my chance at a natural ace in the match. But here's our friend the Spitfire again. I've got to believe he probably lost situational awareness here. And maybe gets it back a little bit too late. But in some respects, the Mustang is similar to the LA-7 in that it loves to be flown fast. And I think the rudder on the LA-7 is simply better. You don't notice it when you pull into shots. But on balance, very, very similar feel when you're making those cutting high-speed attacks. So there it is. More normal, arguably mediocre gameplay. But back to my happy place.